Highguard is a very confusing game for me because it was so hyped up in the beginning for the Game Awards. It was the just one more trailer at the very end of the Game Awards. And then after that, basically complete silence. And the more we learned about it, the more I was like, what the heck is this thing? Like, it really does feel like it kind of just came out of nowhere. And apparently, according to the devs, it was supposed to be kind of like a shadow drop. But Jeff Keighley, when you played it a couple times, really wanted to expose it to the world. And when you're a smaller team nowhere near AAA, who are you gonna say no to Jeff Keighley when he says he wants you to be on the Game Awards with hundreds of millions of people watching? And so with that, I went into this expecting not a lot, honestly, because the trailer kind of confused me. It kind of looked like a MOBA or a hero shooter combined. And after playing a few games, I have realized that this game isn't even early access. This game is maybe closed invite only ready because like it feels like the core gameplay isn't even really solidified yet. The game is a mixture of Valorant and Rainbow Six Siege with also some battle royale things hidden there for good measure, I guess. But it feels like it's a mishmash of throw it at the wall and see what sticks, but you don't do that for a 1.0 release. Like, this doesn't feel like a 1.0 release. This feels like it should have been a closed NDA'd access beta where people can't talk about it so they can get feedback for it, not a 1.0 full launch. And I think that's the biggest thing for me when I played this game, is that it is truly feels like a closed beta. And while I personally haven't gotten any of the terrible performance that other people have gotten, it is still a noteworthy thing to say that this game is optimized horribly. Like, I'm not saying I'm getting crazy frame drops, but the game can barely run at 60 frames a second for me, and I have a 4000 series graphics card. So, like, it's not like I'm on a low spec machine. Now, I don't have the 5090 or anything like that, but, like, I have the 4070 Ti, so it's still a really good card and definitely should be able to play this game because the graphics of this game, it's not like it's crazy good. Don't get me wrong, they're not bad, but the game's graphics are more functional than pretty. And I feel like just that statement itself is a really good description of Highguard right now. Functional and not pretty. Because the game, everything technically works. The mechanics technically work. Nothing is really broken in terms of bugs or anything like that. The couple games I've played so far, and I'll continue playing it just to see, but everything technically works. It just feels like this is the first pitch of a video game. Because if we go into the stages by stages, is you pick a warden, or the character, and each character has an ability, an ultimate, and a passive, and all the weapons are not character specific, which I thought was going to be character specific, but it's not. And then the first phase is defense, and this reminds me really much like Rainbow Six Siege, with the fact that you can only reinforce walls, and then you spend 45 seconds waiting for the barrier to drop. It really does feel like the wall, the defeat defense mechanic of this game is completely like undercooked, because like the destruction is just blowing up a wall. There's nothing to it. Blowing up walls is also surprisingly easy depending on who you are. Like, if you're a character that can't destroy walls, then it's kind of annoying because you have to use the rocket launcher or like other ways to destroy, like you have to use the raid tools. But a lot of characters have abilities that either destroy or just ignore walls. And after the defense stage, where reinforce 4 walls and then wait for 45 seconds, the gear up stage happens. And this is where I feel like this game is in the beginning stages of a closed beta, because the gear up stage is probably, in terms of gameplay and progression in the match, pretty significant, but also the most boring, because you go over across the map in a 3v3 map that is too big for 3 versus 3, open chests like you're in a battle royale to get better loot, and the loot is gray, blue, purple, legendary, like a battle royale, like an Apex or a Fortnite. And this stage to me is the weirdest. I feel like if they just stuck to either the loot boxes or the currency system, which I'll explain later in a second, it would have been better. Because there is also a mechanic, like I hinted at earlier, is there is these mining nodes basically that you can melee attack, and you can do it quick quick time event to mine the nodes to get resources to buy from a trader. And I feel like it would have been better if they picked one or the other system, because you can just ignore the trader unless you really want something specific. And honestly, probably not, because there's so many chests around the map that you don't really need to do it. And it takes longer because you have to mine the nodes. You have to mine the crystal stuff. And even when I'm saying that it takes longer, I'm mostly saying that because while it's technically true, this gear up phase lasts too long, but it also feels like it is because there's so little people on the map. Because it's 3v3, the best option to do is split up the team and just go to individual places and loot up and do your things, and then go to the shield breaker point, because you're not going to find anyone else. Like, I think in the few games that I've played, I ran into one person one time during the gear up phase, and that's because I went really aggressive on the enemy side of the map because I just wanted to see, like. And another thing is, like, if you kill someone during this phase, nothing really happens. Like, sure, they die, but you have unlimited respawns at this point, and like, I guess technically you lose some armor, but armor is really easy to gain back, and you can even just buy it on the death screen if you have the currency in hand. So it feels really strange, this gear up phase, and I feel like this is like, it's supposed to be a pivotal part of the match, but I feel like it's also the worst part of the match in some ways. Then the shield breaker stage happens, and that's where a capture the flag spawn point basically happens, and you have to capture the shield breaker and bring it to the enemy base. And this is just capture the flag. And when I say that, I'm not saying that in like a negative stance. This is a really good version of capture the flag. Everyone can see the flag. It's really cool to try to set up ambushes on the map, and I actually think this is one of the better parts of the game because it also has the most variety in terms of weapons and your abilities, because the ranges are all different. The maps, while big, aren't so big that, you know, snipers dominate or something, that you can just rush in and try to use shotguns or SMGs. And, you know, speaking of the weapons, we'll be talking about them after I'm done talking about the stages, but there is a good variety of things you can do during this capture the flag stage. And then when whoever gets to the base with the shield breaker opens up the shield of the enemy base, which does damage to the overall health bar of the base. Everyone starts at 100, and you have to get that to 0 to win. It does 30 damage, and then you wait, I think, like 45-ish seconds, maybe 45 seconds to a minute for the shield to break. Now, this is supposed to be a tense moment in the match because the enemy team can respawn back at base once they've failed to capture the flag thing, and so they can do more defense stuff to prepare for you breaking into their base. The problem is there isn't a lot to do. Like, you've already done the reinforced wall thing, so that's literally the only thing you can do. There isn't like turrets you can set up, mines you can place, traps to set up. There's literally nothing you can do. So you, as a defense and the offense team, you're just waiting, which, you know, isn't a good thing. And then the shield breaks, and the attacking team goes in and the defense team defends. When this phase starts, it's an attack defense mode where you have to plant a bomb to destroy two of the three things. There's 2 generators and a crystal thing that you can blow up. Now, this is where the 3v3 aspect of this really hurts, because there are 3 defense points and 3 people on each team. So as an attacking team, it is really easy to just get a sneaky bomb somewhere, or as a defender to just get overwhelmed, because it's always a 1v3 or 2v3 at best, because the base is too big for 3 people. There's too much to defend for only 3 people. And this is where I feel like maybe they should have either had only 2 capture points or 4v4. I think it honestly should have been only 2 bomb sites and 4v4 anyway, because I think the 4v4 would have been better. I don't think there is enough map for 5v5. I think it would have been a lot more action, but also that could be frustrating for some players. So I feel like 4v4 would be better to go first, and then maybe only do the generators instead of the crystal thing. So it's 2 generators to defend and then 4v4, because the attackers have limited respawns when you do this attack defense. That's how you end the attack defense. You either kill both their generators or the attackers run out of respawns, because when you die you can revive, which saves a respawn so you can continue the attacking phase. So that's actually a really interesting thing. But then at this phase we get to the problem I have with the weapons, because this attack defense phase is generally the longer phase of the game, and this one feels like a Rainbow Six Siege / Valorant bomb defusal match. But the problem is that one, the time to kill is too high for that type of like tactical game, and the weapons are incredibly unbalanced when it's close range. SMGs and shotguns destroy in the attack defense phase, and that's how you win the game. So using sniper rifles or marksman rifles or assault rifles feels worse in the moment of where you're supposed to try to win the game or stop the enemy team from winning the game. Because the only way to win is to blow up the bomb defusal, the generators. Technically, you do 30 damage every time the shield breaker has happened, but in the few games I've played, I've only ever broken the shield thing once or twice in a match. It's very rare to do it like 3 or... because you need to do it 4 times to win if you never do any bomb explosions. Because it does 30 damage to the base. So you have to do that 4 times to win. So I just don't think that's a realistic possibility of that ever happening. So I can already see a really weird meta where SMGs and shotguns are literally the only things people use. Because in the time where you can win the game, those are the weapons that are by far the best. And the regular shotgun is insane. Like, I dominated. I'm not an FPS god player. Like, I'm not insanely skilled at FPS games. But I was destroying people with this shotgun. And some of the SMGs in this tactical part of the game. Because the maps are just really corridor-like and small. And I even forgot, because it's such a thing that I forgot about, because it really doesn't matter, but you can select the base type at the very beginning. And maybe they were thinking about, like, maybe different heroes or wardens or whatever they're called can do different things based on the type of base you have. But the bases are just too slight. They're all similar. Because every single generator is surrounded by 4 walls and a ceiling. Like, they all have doors and ceilings around them. There isn't one in the open or anything like that. Like, all the bases are corridors and close quarters. So it doesn't really change the outcome of the match. And I feel like, going along with the fact at the very beginning of this video where I said that it feels like a closed beta that was supposed to be NDA'd and they get feedback, a very disappointing thing for me is that this is supposed to be this fantasy world thing, but everyone's just using guns. Like, the weapons are boring. Like, they're not bad. They are nice to shoot and they have good feedback and the recoil is there but manageable. Like, we're not playing like, you know, a Valorant or a PUBG or a Counter-Strike or a Siege. But they kind of want that to be, so now that I say that out loud, it's kind of strange that the recoil isn't that bad. But, you know, they're trying to be a little bit more arcadey. But the weapons are boring. They're just assault rifles, SMGs, shotguns, pistols, rocket launchers. There's some interesting gadgets, but I've never used them because they're RNG based, so you have to just get them during a match. So the weapon selection feels weird because you're supposed to be in this fantasy world, but everyone's just using guns that you've seen before. Like, there's an AK, there's an M4, there's a shotgun, there's an SMG that shoots really fast. There's a 3-burst SMG. There's a 3-burst assault rifle. There's a marksman sniper rifle, though it is like a lever action rifle, which is kind of cool. And a revolver that's also in the marksman slot. But, like, where's the fantasy in this? Like, I guess the fantasy is the characters and their abilities, but you only have they have one ability and one ultimate in each character. So, like, it is not a lot of fantasy. It's a lot of just guns, which, you know, isn't necessarily a bad thing. And the character I was playing is this tentacle lady that she does supports and can make spawn points, which is kind of cool. But, like, it's strange that in this fantasy world, there's no, like, melee weapons. Like, there is a melee attack, but it's very weak and mostly made from mining, hilariously enough. Also, everyone has the same melee weapon. I assume that's probably just going to be a cosmetic, because it is a free-to-play game. So it's probably going to be a cosmetic. You can change the melee weapon if you want. But it feels really strange to me that all the weapons are quite generic. There's no interesting weapons. Because you would think in order to try to distinguish itself in this genre, they'd have different weapons. Because if you wanted a tactical shooter with abilities in modern guns, you'd just play Valorant. And that game is much more polished than Highguard. Now, I guess you could argue that they want more of a free-form game because it's not like it's not a full tactical shooter. But I think the 2 best parts of this game is the capture the flag moment and the tactical shooter moment. And the tactical shooter moment is significantly less good than the capture the flag. I think the capture the flag, shield breaker, run to the base, or run to the sword shield breaker and destroy the shield, I think that is by far the best part of the game. And if that was instead of the tactical shooter thing, like the enemy could destroy the siege breaker tower or something like that to destroy the base instead of this bomb defusal thing, I think I would have liked it more. But now I'm just kind of just making a I wish this game was this different game type of deal instead of being just slightly different, because that's the problem I have with Highguard right now. after playing Highguard, I kind of wish this game wasn't Highguard. And this is after me not even playing on launch day. This is me playing after, and there's been a couple patches. Now, those patches were nice. They did a lot of quality of life things. But this game feels like it's a first attempt. And it kind of sucks that feels like that way, because it hits the worst things about other games that I've talked about before. And like, obviously it's being compared to Concord a lot, but I actually think this game has more potential than Concord because the game mode is unique. But the problem is that everything around the game mode is not unique. And the thing that they're kind of going for is like this hero shooter multiple objectives thing, but like it feels super unfinished and it feels like a first attempt, which is not a 1.0 launch, and which is what they're saying this is. And it's why I've constantly have that feeling while playing this game of this feels like I'm playing a closed beta that I should have signed an NDA for, and they're asking for feedback or something like that, something similar to that. It feels like it should be in the same state where Deadlock was like 2 years, like 1.5 years ago, because Deadlock now, even though it is still in a closed beta state and an invite only state, it feels more like a finished game than Highguard did. But that's also because I never had the expectation of Deadlock being a full game yet. Highguard launched and I expected a full game. And there's only 8 characters at launch as well. Like, when your game is supposed to be a hero shooter and you have 8 characters, that's not a lot. And I wonder if that's why it's only 3v3. Because if it's 3v3, you already almost have potentially more than... Only if everyone selects a unique hero, that's literally the majority of the roster, which is insane when you think about it. So maybe that's why it's only 3v3, because if they had more players, the roster that you literally could have, if it was 4v4, you literally could have the entire roster in one game, which is kind of crazy. Like even Valorant on launch, which is 5v5, can't do that. Even if you were doing a Valorant and you had to have every unique hero, you wouldn't be able to do that in the launch as well. And that was 5v5. So it's kind of crazy to me. Also, they don't have ranked mode. It's literally one game mode on launch, no ranked. Like, it feels like this game was rushed weirdly because they announced at the Game Awards and it came out a couple months later. Like, it feels like this marketing campaign for this game was unplanned. And that's basically what we've seen and basically true. So I kind of feel bad for these devs, because it seems like they're kind of been like put in an unwinnable situation. And I'm not someone who wants just them to fail, but I hope they can put in the work to make this game interesting and fun. I'm going to keep playing it. I mean, it's free to play, so it's literally the only thing I'm paying for is my time. And I have had some fun in the game, which is saying something. But the majority of a match is not shooting at things. So I think they need to fix that. And they need to do something about the defense. If they want to keep the attack and defense, they need to do something about being able to actually do some defense. Because the wall stuff doesn't really work. Or maybe it's because we're too new at the game. Who knows? And I think they need to find an identity. Because this game doesn't have an identity. Right now it's generic fantasy shooter thing with weird mechanics. So I hope they can figure that out. Because, like I said, it is kind of fun. But it wouldn't surprise me if this game only lasts a year. Maybe 6 months to a year. But they also don't have like a crazy backing of publisher, so maybe they don't need that much attention. Maybe it's better if they kind of go low key for a little bit with just good solid updates, and then maybe they can have a comeback. But right now it's not looking good. Thank you everyone for watching today's video. I really appreciate it. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you'd like to support me, I have a Patreon at patreon.com/thetechnojelly. I do a once a month live stream, as well as you get early access to videos and a ability to vote on those live streams, what we do, and being in the credits as they're going along the screen right now. If you would like to support me even more directly, I have an affiliate code for Poggers, an energy drink that is on the healthier side. You can use the code TechnoJelly for 10% off of any order on the website. Click on the link in the description if you'd like to check that out. If you'd like to follow me on other platforms, I have a Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Threads. Thank you for watching today's video, and I'll see you in another one. Goodbye, everyone.